So I get sent videos from people from TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, you name it, about agents that are giving terrible advice on whether they should buy a house or just in general housing market stuff. And this one, it hits at home because this video was actually sent by my brother. What we're going to do today is we're going to analyze this video that gives advice on how much you need to qualify for a certain price range. We're going to actually break down to see if it's true or not true. And then we're going to actually look at my brother's personal situation to see what he can truly afford versus what can he qualify. Because a lot of times, a lot of you guys get influenced by these agents out here that think they're financial advisors and telling people whether they should buy or not buy. When the reality is, including myself, by the way, the reality is you should be determining yourself if you're ready to buy or not, and then seek someone. Because at the end of the day, they're a real estate salesperson, not a real estate financial advisor, real estate salesperson. Okay, so let's get to it. Let's watch the video in question. It is on Facebook. I don't know why he's looking at Facebook Reels, but this is it. So let's just look at it.
This is how much you need to make to buy this $385,000 house. Let's assume you put 3.5% down using an FHA loan, which is $13,475. And let's assume you get an interest rate of 6.76%. Your loan amount will be $371,525, which makes your monthly payment $2,413.
That shouldn't say monthly payment. That should say mortgage and insurance. I know he does clarify this a little bit later, but like someone can screenshot this right here and it's already creating something.
You'll also have to pay taxes, insurance, and MIP. Let's say your taxes are about $428 per month, insurance $161, and MIP is extra money you're going to pay because you put less than 20% down. It's usually about 0.75% of the loan amount every year. That'll be about $233 per month. Your total monthly payment now will be $3,235.
The way I don't like the way this is worded. This is your monthly payment. This is your mortgage. This is just breaking down your monthly payment. This makes it seem like this is going to be your monthly payment. You're paying this separate.
Now, banks want to make sure that that number doesn't exceed about 40% of your pre-tax income. So you take $3,235 and divide that by 0.4, and that shows you'll need to make $8,088 per month, and then you multiply that by 12 to get $97,056 is what you need to make every.
All right, so let's break this down. What he is saying is technically true. Technically, you can qualify for a house, and it's not 40%. Usually for FHA, it's 43%. Conventional, it can go up to 50%, but I think he's saying 40% as a general rule of thumb. But the way it's being presented here is this is what you need to buy this house. And 40% of your total gross income is absolutely dangerous. Let me break that down for you. So here's a scenario by this guy. I don't know who this guy is. He just says the things is called invest starters. He's saying the mortgage payment is going to be $3233. He's saying you need 40% pre-tax or gross income, basically. So essentially, to qualify for the monthly payment of $3,233, that means that we need a monthly income of $8,088. Now, here's the thing that we need to verify. This is our gross income. If you don't know what gross income means, it means your pre-tax income before taxes. And if you're basing this number off of that, then essentially, if you're looking at this right here, then it looks doable. Here's the thing that's crazy. That's not your actual take-home income, okay? Your actual take-home income is going to be 75 to maybe 80% of your actual your gross income. So if we're just going to be generous and say maybe 80% of 8,088 is 6,470. Now 3,233 out of 6,470 is a whole nother ballgame. That's approximately 49.9%, or in other words, 50% of your take-home income is going towards your mortgage payment. Now let's watch the rest of the video. Does he give any indication that this is a situation?
Single year in order to buy a $385,000 house, given these assumptions. Hit the follow button for more tips for beginner real estate investors. This is how much you need to make to buy this $385,000.
No, there isn't any kind of forewarning or anything. Because at the end of the day, real estate agents want to sell houses. If you have a conversation with a real estate agent, they're not going to advise you on what's the best situation for you to afford. You should figure that out on your own, educate yourself, and then when you're ready, use them as a tool in your arsenal, a service that you're hiring. So if we follow this gentleman's advice, 50% of our entire income is going to go to our mortgage payment. That means you're paying utilities with 50%, you're saving with the other 50%, you're setting yourself up in a terrible situation. So what should the monthly payment be if we're truly talking about what you can afford? To help illustrate this, let me use this spreadsheet that I created. It's available on my Patreon if you need it, but honestly, you don't need it. You could just do the math on your own. So the net income here. If we're basing this off, was it 8,000? So 8,088 gross income. If we go here to what you can afford, we can qualify up to $3,600, right? But let's look at what we can actually. So we're going to see here 80% is about $6,470. So let's type that in. Let's just pretend that we're debt free for in this situation. We're not going to throw in any other wrenches. And we can see here a good indication of where we should really be, right? We don't want to be the really tight number, which is actually 30% of our gross income. Even the really tight number is not working, which is interesting. But if we see here, the safest number is 25% of our net. We can go as far as 30% of our net. And the just right number to me is 33% of the net. If you have to push it to the tight, that's about 28% of your gross income. To be in the 33% of your net income or just right, if the net income is 80% of that gross payment, your monthly payment should really be about $2,135. If you look at the numbers right next to each other, that's pretty massive. It's like an $1,100 difference. And those $1,100 will absolutely make or break you. And maybe this is the first time you are buying a house and you're not too familiar about the strain of having a house. Because let me tell you, being a homeowner is great because you can safely say you own this property. Like, it feels great. But it also sometimes feels, if you put yourself in the wrong situation, like a golden jail cell that you're just kind of stuck in and financially unable to do anything. You can't achieve your goals of like building stuff on the house or go travel like you want to, et cetera, et cetera. So you don't want to set yourself up in a golden jail cell. And quite frankly, if we follow advice like the video that was presented to me, you're putting yourself in that situation. So now let's talk about my dear brother. His name is Dan, and if you think it's short for Daniel or Danny or Danielson, no, it's just Dan. He's currently making, give or take, rough estimate, but I don't want to give the exact amount, $6,500 gross income. And if he goes talks to a lender right now or watches more TikToks or Facebook Reels like this, he's going to be able to qualify it to 40% of that gross income, which means it's about $2,600. Here in Phoenix, Arizona, that's a good starter home up to like $400K-ish, maybe $420 if you get something with low tax. And if we plug that into this, let's see what that looks like. So 6,500, plug that in here. Let's assume 80% is his net. So let's do 5,200. If I have the exact net, that would be perfect, by the way. So technically you can qualify up to 3,250, right? If it's 50%, if you're going all the way full max out conventional, but you should only be about 17, 16, 18, 20. So what do you do if you're in a situation like this? I know it seems like it's an impossible task to be able to afford or buy a house, but just because you can buy a house doesn't mean you should. There are things that you could work on in the meantime. Have you started your retirement? Have you started funding your emergency funds? Have you have your investment strategy ready and set up? There's so many things you can do before you go and own a house. Who knows? In the meantime, while you get all this ready, prices could drop. And I tell you, there are some cities in the Phoenix, Arizona area, if you watch my Arizona local channel, I talk about them, that are dropping. There are some that are increasing, but there are some that are dropping. Continue working on that down payment. And it's just going to take a little more time and perseverance, but you will get there. And anyone else watching this, you will get there too. So be careful out there, folks. See any more crazy videos like this, send me an email, contact Javier Vidana. If you have any questions or want to work with me in the Phoenix, Arizona area, you can email me there as well. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you. YouTube thinks you should go watch this video next, so go check it out. Appreciate you guys. Bye-bye.